Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're going to switch the graphics. We're going to getting the water boiling with the 8-bit graphic. I don't know why I fuck with these timers that are 8-bit. And I love this shit, man. All right, so what it do, y'all. This is, in fact, your boy Rice, and thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of, and I say this week like it's going to be a weekly thing. This is a special episode. Welcome to the special episode, 60 Minutes with ... And it opens it up to just speaking with other people, having conversations and interviews with really fucking cool, really fucking interesting people that are doing really cool stuff, man. That's either just like mind-bendingly fucking awesome, mind-bendingly fucking cool, mind-bendingly fucking inspirational. And I think all of those terms apply to what my man Sam Thompson is doing right now with his thing that he's got popping off, man. Just launched it. Man. So for anyone who did not tune in, he was my guest earlier in the week. And so, mind you, this for the Twitch watchers, I am wording everything for like Wednesday and Thursday right now. So like, welcome to being a part of helping make a podcast for anyone watching. If you still have, just like with the 60 Minutes with Rice, please feel free to, please feel free. You know, we were doing the screen sharing shit. Now we're over here doing our thing, man. So if you are inside this realm, you can please feel free to participate in the conversation, ask questions, make comments, do all that stuff. I'm watching it. So if you have any comments, concerns, questions, anything like that, drop it in the chat, man. Be a part of helping us make this podcast. Like, that's what's really cool about this situation I'm setting up. But yeah, man, so we talked earlier in the week. He joined me to talk about my 60 Seconds with Rice takes. Has some really good fucking takes, man. Apparently he likes Apple Maps. I don't know. I don't know if we can still be friends. I don't know if we can still be friends anymore, bro. I don't know.
You have me on you. You cannot be not my friend.
Nah, man, but this is my homie, man. We met, like I said, for anyone who did not catch the podcast earlier, we met on Warped Tour 2015. Was the first time we met. Were you a rookie as well? Like,
yeah, we both popped our cherries.
Okay, I swear I thought that was the case. I just wanted to verify. We were both popping cherries.
The difference is it wasn't my first tour. It was my first Warped Tour, but it was not my first tour.
Yeah.
So I believe that was your first like tour, right?
Well,
like,
I had started managing this band Side Reel. I was a tour manager for them while I was still in college, and we went.
So yeah, with them.
I mean, we went on like a 3-week like South and West Coast tour. I mean,
that's a tour,
dude. We had a 18-person van, took out some seats, put a bed in. You know, we did the whole 9.
Fuck yes.
So it was.
So you did, and that was my experience. Not TMing. It's always been merch. Always been the merch guy.
I was also the merch guy. Not gonna lie. Every time I've been TM, every time I've been on like small regional tours, like going throughout the state, doing 6-7 stops, you know, something real quick. Always the fucking TM merch guy.
Always.
Honestly, though, I'm really good at fucking setting up a table. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. I can set up a fucking merch table like crazy.
I will sling some fucking shirts. Like that is. It's easy. It's fun. Everybody wears t-shirts, man. And merch is great.
I mean, that's honestly one of, you know, that's how we became friends, is like our tents were both main stage sponsors. We were always next to each other. We would go up to Sierra Lyman and be like, yo, you should like put us next to each other. Cause she handled tent placements, and we were always like, yo, you should like have us in the same quadrant. Like, don't put me on the other side of the fucking truck. I don't want that shit.
No, let me face the big ones. Let me be right on the corner in the walkway facing the main stage.
And put us next to each other so we can dance to Paris repeatedly.
I mean, those
run into circle pits and, you know, do all the fun stuff.
Yeah, I think if I recall that summer correctly, I didn't wear a shirt for 40 days straight.
No, you did
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, I'm known for this shit. It's like you get me in these scenarios and I pull my shirt off and suddenly I have this like body of a Greek god, but then like the rest of the time I look like a fucking dad. It's insane. It's like Warped Tour Sam is like did you ever watch Dragon Ball Z as a kid?
Yeah, hell yeah. I watched all Dragon Ball, I watched all Dragon Ball Z, I watched Dragon Ball GT. Yes, sir.
So everybody evolves, right? So like whether it's Frieza or Cell or even Goku and the Saiyans like becoming Super Saiyans. Okay, so Warped Tour Sam is like Super Saiyan Sam, like
I can
real
attest,
life Sam.
I can attest to
Goku.
that.
You know what I mean? Like Goku's like actually like a really shitty father for a lot of the time. He's kind of not a great husband. He's a little bit of a weirdo and an eccentric guy. You know, like that kind of shit. Like, but Super Saiyan Goku is like savior of all mankind, fucking badass dude. You know, looks like Adonis. You know, whatever. So equate those to me. Non-Warped Tour Sam is like lame ass, just like normal, goofy haired Goku. Fucking Warped Tour Sam is like Super Saiyan 4 Goku, gonna kick some ass and take some names. You know what I mean?
Fucking
it's
regrow
just like
your tail and shit.
It's exactly. It's just like a completely different level of existing because you take the excitement of doing something like being able to be a part of Warped Tour, something everyone knows and loves, and then you combine it with skills that you already have, attention to detail, hard work, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And when you bring those together, it really does like optimize a person, you know? Plus it's hard. So if you feel like you're doing well and the people around you feel like you're doing well, it feels really good. It feels really good, you know? Because it is so hard. And I mean, God, I'm grateful for the experience. I know that a lot of people, especially in the arts and entertainment industry, look at people who went and did Warped Tour in a completely different way than people who've done other things, and in a good way, you know? Like, damn, you were able to do that. You were able to survive that for years or whatever. Like, we want you on our team, you know? But yeah, I'm just grateful for that experience. I'm more grateful for 2015 than the other years that I did Warped Tour. Honestly, 2016 was a kind of rough year for me. Just personally out on the road. I was not, how do I put this? I was not doing a good job of taking care of myself. You know, and then 2017 was different for me because I was working in an office in LA and I was coordinating stuff. So I only went to like a couple of dates, you know,
like spot up. Yeah.
So, you know, 2015 to me was like the real deal. And in my mind, I just have this, it's like the same kind of happy nostalgia that you have towards like your childhood. You know what I mean? Like, this little place where I grew up, you know, like I hated living there as a teenager and I left, but like as a 6 or 7 year old kid, you're like, I love this. That's how I view 2015 Warped Tour. Just like a 6 or 7 year old kid getting a lot of his dreams come true, you know?
It honestly, like that tour was just, and like in talking with people, just like when I would come back for, you know, a couple of pop-up dates or like I'd pull up. That was the unfortunate part is I really like, I was trying to get back on Warped Tour every summer. And like every job that I got hired to, I would tell them like when I like got off tour and went to Nashville, I got in with this indie record label and merchandising company, South by Sea. And I told them two things. I said, I need 2 weeks every single March to go to South by Southwest because, you know, at that point I was a like supervisor down there for the conferences. Now I'm a crew manager, you know, and I was like, I'm not giving that up. I'm making movements. I'm not giving that up. It's something I've worked for since 2013, you know, not giving that shit up. I already missed 1 year because I was living in Portland and I couldn't make it, but doing it this year. And I told them, hey, summertime, probably gonna need to give me a 2.5 month window every summer. And I tried my fucking hardest. I was like, who can I hit up? Like, who's got the inside knowledge? Like, who can I text? You know, who's in the Warped Fam Facebook group? Like, who's in these pages asking for something? I was ready to go on a truth truck, fam. That if that tells you anything.
Man, I have really good friends who did Truth Truck, but I was never going to be welcome there.
Dude.
Well, your boy smokes.
Like, and now, you know, if that tells you anything, like anyone who understands like Truth Truck Warped Tour,
yeah.
and it's like I respect what they're doing because I don't smoke cigarettes. I will smoke a celebratory cigar every once in a while, but you better believe your boy is rolling and smoking some goddamn weed. I am smoking the joints. I am busting some fucking white grape fucking rellos. Like,
good. Pot's great. It fucking makes the world go round if you ask me.
Man, we smoked so much fucking weed that summer.
Oh, okay, you remember it was 2 days in a row. It was Cincinnati going into Canada. We smoked that huge circle. There's like 28 of us.
Dude, that was the fucking like greatest smoke circle ever.
And I rolled 20 something blunts. You remember that? I rolled them. It was me.
I recall, bro. You were sitting in a chair, like just going, like, bro. You like that could have been your professional job out in LA. Was just professional blunt roller, bro. Like for real, for real.
I tried to be Waka Flocka's blunt roller, but he hired some dude that
when you got on stage in Utah, oh shit, I still fucking remember that, dog. I try to go. I don't know what the fuck happened to all my photos from that summer, but I try to go in my Samsung cloud. I try to go to my iCloud and everything. And I'm like, I know I got fucking like 80 photos of this motherfucker going hype.
I don't know about the photos, but do you know that you have the only footage?
Really?
It's in our fucking Facebook group chat. Dude, you could pull up our Facebook group chat, click on the little icon that shows all the media we've sent each other, and it's the video that you took of me fucking dancing on stage.
You're fucking kidding. There's no way I'm the only motherfucker who got that in a whole fucking tour squad.
Hold on. People took photographs. You're the only one who got footage.
It's because people ain't thinking, bro. Like that was a moment that required video. Like it required nothing but video.
Dude, I have a great photograph that Lisa Johnson, rock photographer, she's, like the iconic.
Yeah, Lisa Johnson's the shit. Hell yeah. I fuck with Lisa super hard.
So she has a photograph of me and Waka that is amazing. It's got me and Flocka doing our like arms up and shit like that. Behind him, Franz is on stage. Cassie from Australia, who is doing Hope for the Day, is on stage. So is Johnny, who did Hope for the Day, and I can't remember his last name, but you know who I'm talking about. Yep. Sierra Lyman. No. Yes, Sierra Lyman is on stage, and she was still like 17 at that point. She was still like a baby.
Wait, I thought she was. I thought she was older than that.
Riff Raff is also on stage.
Wait, no. She was 20. And that was I think she was 20 that year.
Misspoke. Not Sierra. Sabrine,
yes. Because I was like, I swear the conversation, because I was on Gigi with her, and I was like,
you were very.
There was always the conversation about the fact we had like bus beer, and there was always that conversation like, as Kevin Lyman's daughter, like can't do anything crazy on Gigi because he might pop in at any given fucking moment.
Yep.
That was always the scary factor.
It was summer. Lots of great memories. Lots of really good people. I just, the next year there was like 85% of the same people, but it just wasn't the same, 2015 is like when they say the good old days, like I think of, you know what I mean? It's like
even
the good old days.
With people, like even when I would talk with people, when I would like do the pull up in Cincinnati or do the pull up in Nashville, when I would just talk with people about like how the year was going and like how things was laid out, everyone was like, bro, 2015 was like the last grandstand of Warped Tour for the crew. Now, where like the off days were like lit as fuck, and like that Tahoe day was like still at the top of like everyone's fucking list of like, even before I even got on tour, like that Tahoe day was like the shit. Me and Tatiana somehow drove that fucking giant like 38-foot fucking multi-story boat. They somehow trusted me and Tatiana. I was like, I'll drive.
Dude, that day I recall, because I fed a bunch of edibles to Jared Alonji, who was interested in getting high for the first time but didn't want to smoke, and so I was like, yeah, I'll give you an edible or two, right? So I give him one as we're like on the boat, like riding out there, and I'm like, I had a container full of edibles, and I didn't care if he ate however many he wanted, because in my mind he's gonna eat like 2 or 3 of them and be like good, and that was fine, right?
Yeah.
That motherfucker did not know how to pace himself, and he literally ate like half of the jar. It was like, I think he took like 20 or 30 like 10 milligram edibles. Like, he literally got just fucking obliterated on edibles. And the next thing I know, here he is on an inflatable like shark inner tube thing, just paddling in circles for like I want to say like 3 or 4 hours. He literally just like, he didn't talk to anyone. He didn't say anything. He just swam and paddled in this little circle. And it was like, I'm fucking lit right now. It's fucking hilarious, dude.
I love when people fucking do edibles for the first time, thinking it's going to be less than if you just smoked. Like, I understand people, you know, like my mom, she won't smoke because she's like worried about her lungs. So like, when I can, I'll pull up with an edible or some shit like that. But it's just like, it's always super interesting to me when people are like, I'm not smoker, but like I want to try to get high, and then they eat like a corner of like a Rice Krispie and think like, oh, I'm gonna be great. They're dead.
Yeah, I remember. So my dad has recently started consuming pot in different forms. He started with edibles because he wasn't sure, you know. So I remember I hooked him up with a buddy of mine who he's like a chef who makes edibles like on the side. So like, we're talking like a guy who's in like 3, 4, 5-star restaurants,
mm-hmm.
who for fun uses some of the same recipes and makes like edibles. So they're good. They're like, they taste good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I connected my dad with him because that guy's based out of Dallas and we're here in Fort Worth. And at the time I was living in LA. So I was like, you guys just need to meet each other.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad, I want to say he got like some ice cream, like some salted caramel ice cream or some bougie shit, right? From the guy. And my fucking father eats like the whole fucking container in like one sitting. And it was designed for you to take like one spoonful a day. And he ate probably 30. And I was in LA and I was doing something. I don't even remember what I was doing, but I was out and about and drunk and like not in a position to kind of like guide someone through weed issues. And he tried to hit me up. Dude, I'm having a hard time right now. And I'm like, you're on your own, bro. Like, I'm fucked up. Like, I'm not gonna be able to help you right now. Like, I'm sorry.
Oh man, no, and dude.
I guess, yeah, he was fine. You know, he had a buddy there that like he was able to be like, hey, I ate too much. Like, watch out for me. And his friend took care of him. But it was just a really funny moment because like I had that moment too when I was, 17, 18 and smoking way too much pot for the first time in my life. I had couple of moments like that, had friends who had a couple moments like that,
You got one sitting right here, bro. Like, right before I came on Warped, I was driving from Portland to Nashville for my official move, and my homie Blaze was coming with me, which fucking great name if you love weed. His name was literally Blaze. It was AISE instead of AZE, but like fucking great name.
Oh, like Blaze Pascal, the famous fucking chemist.
Yeah. And so he fucked around and got Fruity Pebbles Rice Krispie treat. And it was my dad's turn to drive. And so, cause my dad drove out and he was like, he flew out and was like, I'll make it a road trip out of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was like, I'm retired. I don't give a fuck. So he flew out and we was making this trip. Well, right when we got out of Oregon, we switched, and I gave the keys to my dad to drive, and I was like, I'm gonna take a nap. So Blaze hands me the fucking edible. My dad has no idea that it's an edible, right? And so I eat it. I eat like a corner, like nothing crazy. I just eat like a little bit of a. I just eat a corner and I'm like, all right, I'm about to kick it, man. I'm about to relax. I'm gonna put some tunes on. I have my playlist ready to go. And then I'd say like half hour, 45 minutes later, you know, the time incubation time for the fucking weed to actually hit you. My dad elbows me and is like, yo, you know, I'm just kind of feeling, you know, my leg hurts and like shit like that. You know, I'm feeling a little tired. Like, you know, can you take over? I was not prepared. And I at that moment, I was like I was feeling it, but I hadn't felt the full brunt force of what the fuck was about to happen. He hands me the keys in Northern California. 3 hours later, we pull over for gas, and I still to this day have no fucking clue how we got to that gas station. To this day, I have no fucking clue how we got to that gas station. I zoned all the fucking way out. I was gonzo.
Gonzo, that's me. Okay, hey. Used to be me. So we're sitting here talking about pot, and I would love to get high, but I cannot do it where I'm at right now. Is there a smoke break that we could do, or?
Fuck yeah, man! You know, let me cue up a 8-bit record for the viewers to tune in. Let's see what we got.
Not even 2 minutes. I can run outside and do it real quick. But I'm in a family household. I can't get high in here. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be a dick,
dude. Understand?
And I'm like, I kind of want to get high before we go into what I want to do when I come back. Is I want to tell you a story about doing acid in San Francisco because you just triggered a memory for me about what you're saying.
Dude, honestly, sounds fucking great. So, all right. Man, you inspire me to want to go smoke myself. I should have grabbed my
You got all stoked on that 8-bit Enter Sandman and didn't go get high.
Dude, I was fucking jamming, like I had to explain to my mom. What the difference is between like rock on and devil horns. Like she didn't understand like what the fundamental she's like, I don't understand like when people do this and why people do this. Like why is it too? And I'm like, okay, time to talk.
You can't explain that shit to parents. It's like that Will Smith song. Parents just don't understand. You know what I mean? It's just let them not understand.
Well, and it came from the fact that like I end a lot of my text messages with the fucking rock on emoji.
Oh yeah.
And so my mom's like, "Why are you sending me the devil horns?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not."
You end your text like this, and your mom's like, "Why are you telling me to hail Satan? I don't want to hail
Satan." You know, sometimes parents don't know. They don't know the deal, man. Sometimes they can be a buzzkill. And I did that. I did that to set it up, man, because, you know, we've enjoyed the last, 15, 20 minutes kind of just catching up on some good times, good memories. But the point of this 60 minutes within the 60 minutes universe, 60 miniverse, I don't know how I'm going to fucking brand it. 60 MU, I don't know. Be like the fucking MCU, but
I was really about to say like Marvel.
Yeah, exactly. So within it, I'm opening up a section of it for people that I just truly find inspiring, people that are doing really cool shit that I want to have a conversation with, that I want to expose more people to, utilizing my platform just to talk about things, because just like I said in the last podcast where my mom was on it, I am one perspective of 7.8 billion perspectives on this world, right? There are some people and their perspectives are going to align with mine, and there are some people that are not. And even if I don't agree, I understand and respect that everyone on this planet deserves the right to have their own opinion, deserves the right to pursue their own dreams and their goals without obstruction, and to be given platforms where they can speak on things unobstructed without, without argument. Now, yes, through this, situation, obviously, as a moderator, as an interviewer, I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to probe. I may debate. I don't know. You know, really, this is just a free form platform for creatives, for directives, for everyday people who just have passions and goals to come on here and talk about what drives them on a day-to-day basis. And so this week we are sitting down with Sam Thompson, my homie from Warped Tour. If you didn't catch that from the like 20 minutes of talking about getting stoned on Warped Tour we just talked about, all except for the Canada dates where we had to really finesse getting our weed either through customs or
we did finesse our weed, bro.
Man, there was a lot of finesse. There was so many.
He got so much weed right at the end there that we had to smoke like a half ounce in like an hour. It was insane.
It was we literally re-upped in Nashville, and I think I re-upped in Cincinnati from my homie because I'm hometown. And we had so much, and we had like one date before going to Canada, and we were like, "Oh fuck!" So
smoked all of it.
So much weed, and then so much weed also got like, allegedly. We're gonna speak in hypotheticals here, but allegedly a lot of weed got snuck across.
So, 2 quick stories on that one.
Yeah, and recall this can be we gotta be allegedly if we are talking about anything. Allegedly, we smoked ounces of weed, and allegedly we got weed into Canada and back from Canada.
So allegedly. One of the people on my bus lost all of his pot the night before, and not like he hid it, like he lost it. Okay, no. So like that night where we were all in the big smoke circle, he didn't have anything to contribute because he literally could not find his pot. He's like, it's gone, right? And then I even remember saying at one point in time, I was like, man, it stinks I lost that, but like I was just gonna smoke all of it tonight, so like I was gonna have to get more anyway. Like it didn't really like matter to him.
It's just the unfortunate aspect you couldn't get super duper ripped in the meantime.
So we go through the whole entire rest of the tour, and on the very last day in Seattle, Washington, we're like cleaning up the bus and getting all our shit, and he takes the bed pad off of his bunk. And when he does that, he literally finds an eighth of weed that he lost like months prior. And we straight up may or may not have allegedly gone all the way into Canada and back with that eighth under his bed.
Yo, no. Oh, shit.
Dude, when we were in border crossing to go into Canada, we were fine, but on the way back, the Americans stopped us and did a double search because one of their dogs was like barking at our fucking bus. And we all believed that that's what that dog was barking at, but they couldn't find it. So
no,
it was like, yeah, it was wild.
Dude, honestly, if it wasn't for the fact that we were coming through the border so fucking early in the goddamn morning, I think that's the reason why they didn't turn the bus up. Because if it was the daytime or like it was the start of their shift when they got energy, they're gonna fucking turn every bed, undo every fucking pillowcase and all the shit. Man, because I remember our bus Gigi got stopped, and we were like, of fucking course, bus number 13 gets fucking stopped and searched, and we all get fucking stood in the fucking hallway while y'all double check our bus on the way in. It was into Canada. It was weird.
So that's story one.
Hit me with story two.
Yours truly may or may not have taken a lot of various different people's weeds and stashed them in his merch bins in the truck that did not go to Canada, so that it would be waiting for everyone when we got to the other side.
I remember that.
I did. Maybe I did.
I recall that there. I remember that there was a truck that didn't go. I forgot that there were companies that decided not to pay the taxes or whatever the fuck it was to make to have their to sell their merch in Canada. So there was a whole other. I do recall that. I totally forgot that we had a whole fucking truck just chilling.
Yeah, we had a whole truck, and I think collectively I had almost a quarter pound of weed in one of these bins that just it never crossed the border. It just stayed in. I think we were in New York. Well, we were in Cincinnati before, and then we had New York afterwards. and I think this truck just drove from Cincinnati to New York, which
yeah.
I'm sure is a felony in some form or fashion. But hey, the guy didn't.
Honestly, and that's the beauty, dude. That's the beauty of fucking being on tour. Is in one of those semis, there is probably, I remember because I stepped up in and I got involved with setup crew, and so every morning I was out there at fucking 6:30. Not on top of my own work that I had to do for Full Sail. I was out there at 6:30 helping set up, and I was out there right as we tore down at 5 o'clock. I was over there fucking tearing stages down and tearing tents down and loading shit up. That fucking, the box trucks, the fucking, and the storage units for like all the fucking equipment, those trucks were packed. It would be damn near fucking impossible. Talk about a needle in a haystack. It would be damn near impossible to find a scale. It would be almost impossible.
Well, and also, weed was probably the least harmless drug that was in that situation.
Big facts.
You know, like, look, I mean, it's just reality, man. Like, people are living a rock star life out there. And so if you think that weed is the worst thing that people are doing out there, you're naive. Okay? Like, people party, man. Like, that's what happens. That doesn't necessarily mean you and I did.
I mean, there was a lot of liquor and a lot of weed on my end, but like I steered clear, you know, especially with everything with my brother and everything. Like I steered clear of anything too crazy, but
precisely. But those people are on the tour, and they were doing their things, and they damn sure didn't bring it into Canada, right? So you know, I have to believe that, you know, my 3.5 ounces of pot collectively was nothing compared to some of the other shit that was buried in that truck. You know,
there were definitely some interesting characters on that tour.
That whole tour. I mean, look, I mean, straight up. And if I'm spilling beans, I shouldn't. Maybe fuck off. But like, that whole tour operates in a very on the edge of what's allowed and not fashion.
Yeah.
Like, how the drivers write their logs and how some of them have to drive and choose to drive, to how the equipment gets transported. I mean, you were talking about like getting weighed, dude. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. The weight on those trucks literally fluctuates on a day-to-day basis. You know what I mean? It's like,
well, and that's the thing about, especially like the box trucks that aren't going to cross, is it's merch. Like you're going to sell hundreds of t-shirts in a day. That's a fuck ton of weight. Yep. So on on July 5th, or what we were in Florida during July, which was
hell yeah.
I love fucking Warped Tour. I love the route of our tour that we were on, but fuck off routing us through Florida in the middle of fucking July.
We did Florida and Texas in the middle of July.
Dude,
the worst states to do the worst month. Like,
dude, fucking
Christ, it was like 110 degrees in Houston when we were there.
And we were on a blacktop in Houston.
Yes, we were right outside of NRG Stadium where the Texans play.
Yeah, because I remember we had to that city, we had to go to hotel rooms to take a shower because there was nothing there. They didn't want to let us in the stadium. I would have loved to take a shower in the fucking Houston Texans locker room. That would have been dope.
I did. Incorrect, Nick. Incorrect. I showered in that stadium.
Fuck off.
I straight up showered in that stadium. There was a secret shuttle. Literally, it was a guy who, like, I think worked for the stadium, and he would just sit at this one little like post, and if you got on, he would drive you like 1.5 miles into the stadium, and he took me into the bowels, and I straight up showered in the Houston, Texas. Yeah, I mean, dude, bring it, bro. I felt cool as shit. I felt cool as shit. The amount of cool sports locker rooms I showered in: Detroit Pistons, Houston Texans. I showered in Philadelphia 76ers before they actually moved into where they're at now.
Yeah.
Showered in. Yeah, I'm blanking now, but it's just cool. Like, conceptually, that kind of shit is cool to me. It was like 2016. No, it was 2015. 2015, we had that day off in Boston.
Yeah.
Well, outside of Boston, but everybody went into Boston. You remember that?
Yeah, we went. Did you go with us to Gillette Stadium?
No, because fuck the Patriots.
Yeah, I don't fuck with the Patriots, but like we had some dank ass sushi and got stoned and went shopping and shit.
I don't think I saw you at all that day. So what I did is I went into Boston with the homies. We went into the old town center that's like 250 years old and has like a restaurant in it. So we went and ate at that restaurant. And then there was not a baseball game at Fenway, but I don't know if people know this. There's like a bar. If you're familiar with Fenway Stadium, you know, where the Red Sox play, there's the Green Monster and there's the whole outfield like green wall. Yeah. And at the bottom of that, there's the scores for the games, but there's also these like sections you can see that have like mesh fence. It's like a bar and a grill. So like if you go to that, you can literally like turn and like look out and like see the field, like you're on like field level. It's dope. Cool.
That's dope.
So I went over there. I wish I could remember. Maybe I was by myself. I remember running into Warped people there, but I think I might have walked there by myself because there was like a 2-hour chunk of time where I separated from like the group of people that I went into Boston with, you know. Yeah. But I ran into Warped Tour people there, and there was a game on the TV, and it was cool. I was like, this is awesome. I don't know. Warped Tour allowed those kind of possibilities, you know. Again, dude, the Detroit. I'm a huge basketball fan. Being able to have the Warped Tour date at Palace in Auburn Hills,
dude, and that was right before it got torn down too.
Right, yeah. So it just got torn down, but I mean, the Pistons won their most recent championships there. You know what I mean? Like, fuck, Ron Artest beat the shit out of some fans there. It's the Malice in the Palace.
Fucking Malice in the Palace, man. Damn.
And Auburn, the Palace of Auburn Hills. Like, I mean, that building was iconic. You know, rest in peace. And that's where they would have the fucking Warped Tour date. So you know, and then they have catering.
Like a day to remember, or somebody did like a pop up. I feel like somebody did a pop up. Somebody did like the surprise guest appearance because I remember like the whole tour was on edge before the Detroit date.
Detroit?
Yeah. I know the whole crew was on edge because none of the fans knew. It was only like a crew. It was like a crew only knowledge. Somebody did a pull up, and I can't remember who the fuck it was, but somebody did a goddamn pull up and like shut the place down.
I don't recall a pull up in Detroit. I was so fixated on being in a basketball stadium. I'm like painful with my nerddom towards basketball. It's like a secret thing almost, you know.
Why you
like
gotta be secret, bro? Basketball is my favorite fucking sport. Call me Bow Wow out here. Like I'm dribbling up and down the goddamn court.
I'm not secretive about it, but you wouldn't look at me and be like, that guy likes basketball. You would no one would look at me and be like, oh, that guy loves basketball and knows a lot about it. Like, not at all. And that's kind of deliberate. I kind of like that you can't, you know, really get a grasp on like what I'm into. Like I like the mystery, the intrigue, you know.
Yeah.
The what have you, but you know, I have fucking Dirk Nowitzki's face tattooed on me. Like I love basketball. Like I'm
Big Dirk.
Yeah. I'm good.
Hell yeah, man.
But yeah, dude, I mean, this shit was fucking great. That summer was awesome. It's like every other Warped Tour I did, like there are big gaps where I can't remember shit. But like that summer, I feel like I remember a little bit about every single day, you know? If you put... What was that?
I'm trying to think. Was it you that told us about the hot springs in Wyoming?
That was me.
I fucking thought so, bro. Like that, bro. I still think of like when I think of like top days in my life, like experiences of like moments of things past. When I think of that day in Wyoming and we had zero fucking idea what we were doing, and you're like, bro, I got you. And we rented 2 fucking cars, drove an hour and a half through the countryside through some of the most beautiful fucking shit. There's like, what, 10 or 11 of us crammed into fucking SUVs. And we go to these fucking secluded, these like secluded hot springs, and it just like, we didn't spend like hours and hours and hours there, but you didn't need to. Like and when you're on
there for about 2 hours, maybe max.
And for anyone and a lot of people who like I fuck with and it like tune in aren't music people, so like they don't understand the ins and outs of like how draining the music industry can be. And when let me put into perspective that Warped Tour is an everyday thing. If you think about your favorite music festivals, if you think about your yeah, like it was the most insane fucking thing I have ever done. I've never worked that many days straight in my life. And yes, you have fun. Yes, when you look at like, oh, I want to be on Warped Tour, you look at it and you think, wow, I could literally do this every day of my life and be satisfied. And me and Sam will be the first to tell you, fucking greatest experience to be a part of that, to be a part of the music industry, to be a part of tours. It is truly a wonderful experience at the end of the day. But during the day, during the day is another fucking story, because when you are, for like he was saying, 22 straight fucking days, waking up at 7 o'clock and going to sleep probably in the ballpark of anywhere between 11 or 3 a.m., depending on if we had a close show the next day or if we had a long show the next day, depending on how long we kicked it in the parking lot, you get burnt the fuck out. And so, like, even 10 minutes of just pure quiet, because you have to also remember, we're in isolation. You know, like Warped Tour as a unit, Warped Tour as a team we are isolated in our own.
Can you pull up?
Oh, shit. Okay, hold up. Let me see. So we are isolated within our own unit. Oh, I fucking love this photo, man. So, like, trying to get it to the camera. So this is us. This was the squad that rolled out with us, man. We had a fucking unit. We fucking was out in this motherfucker. Oh, look at that. Hey. But we were like, you get tired really fast. There's no privacy. Like, if you got to take someone right outside waiting, like, you get no time for privacy. You can finesse and make privacy. I definitely heard of a lot of privacy stories, if you know what I mean. But
yes,
and that's possible. But like, you have to really find that time. It's not something that finds you. It's not like a day where you're like, I don't know what I'm going to do today, so I'm just going to sit here and veg out and watch Netflix. That doesn't exist on Warped Tour. So when Sam was like, I have this secluded fucking hot spring I know about. Now, it's a bit of a mission. And he gave us the caveat. He was like, it's a bit of a mission, but like, trust me, it's worth it. And we were all like, well, we're in fucking Cheyenne, Wyoming. I don't think we have anything better to do than kick it in this, like, it was a cool hotel, but it was an old hotel. It was like, we ain't got nothing better to do. So we were like, I don't know if that's going to be the case, but, all right, let's do it. We all tossed in on the rental cars and made moves, man. And I mean, truly, like, a peaceful, blissful moment. There were only a few other people that was there when we got there, and it just, wow, man. Wow.
So the thing to me, I had obviously been there before, right? So, you know, everyone else that was on that little journey with us that day, the cool experience was like their first time experiencing something like that. And in the context of what you were just talking about, getting to do so after such hard work for so long, right? For me, that was a little bit deeper. Because like there was a dozen people that just trusted me to let them have a good time, you know? And it was just really flattering to have just a complete group of awesome people just say, yeah, we're in, Sam. Like, take us away, you know? It was just one of those times I feel really good about myself, you know, and that might be a little like selfish of a reaction.
No,
but,
man,
you know,
no, not at all.
I recall you know, and that's always been a struggle for me, is like finding those moments where I like am happy with me, right? So like that's a moment that I've always been able to look at and go, some beautiful people trusted me to give them a wonderful day of serenity and peace and something that they've never seen before, and I delivered. I fucking made it happen. Like, and that's good. That's the guy that I want to be, is the guy that shows you guys that place. And you know, okay, so part of me is tempted to name drop the place, but I don't want to.
We gotta keep it a secret, bro.
Well, and I'll tell the story so that people understand why I won't name this place.
Okay, so give people a radius to Cheyenne, Wyoming, and let them know like how long it took us to get there, and they can figure it out from there.
From Cheyenne, I'll just put it this way: from Cheyenne, you're looking at roughly 90 miles southwest of Cheyenne. Okay, so if you're in Cheyenne on Interstate 80, you're going to go 90 miles southwest, but stay in Wyoming, because people don't realize Cheyenne is right by Colorado. So you're not going south, but you are going pretty far west, right? So that's all I'll say for location. I think people could probably discern for themselves. And also anybody who knows either you or I, mostly me, probably has heard the name come out of my mouth. So here's the how I found this place.
Dude, hit us with it, man.
I was on this incredible journey in 2013 with an ex of mine. At the time, we were an item, and we were traveling the country. We didn't really have any aim or focus or like where we were going to go. We were just driving around the country and just experiencing new things, you know. And we wound up in Wyoming. And when we crossed the border of Wyoming, we went to like one of those, you know, state-funded welcome centers where there's, you know, a park ranger who's going to tell you about the history. And you can get maps and all this kind of crap, right? So we just pulled in there because we didn't know what we were doing. Old guy, and like, if you like old like frontier people for the little handle, you know, guys who are like, hey, guy, like, Rusty, get the show, right? That kind of thing. Working. I just want to go see them. Go and point on the map to the name of the town. Me and the girl kind of look at each other and we're like, hey, there's hot springs, huh? You say like free public hot springs, and we just roll up and no one's there, and we just do whatever. And like, oh yeah, you know, we're like, go. So we decide we're gonna go, but we're still talking to this guy, and he says one thing. He says, you know, like, you can tell like your friends, you know, you can like tell people that you care about this, but like, you should really not publicize this place. Like, don't put it out there for like every fucking person to like see it in a travel book or something like that.
Yeah, don't want the fucking Travel Channel picking up on it.
Like, it was like, all I ask is that if you go to this place, like, you would just respect the fact that it's happy to be a small town. And so the backstory is that in the 50s, the Hilton hotel chain came into the town, and they made all sorts of wild promises saying, let us build a resort here. We'll let the townspeople still have access to everything like they have for thousands, you know, for hundreds of years. Like we just, you know, it's beautiful. We know we can make money here. We can benefit the community. Just like, let us in, right? And the community says, yo, we could use the money. Sure, please come on in. So the Hilton chain comes in and they build a hotel, and immediately they just basically go backwards on all of their promises. And they say, you know, like, townspeople, now you got to pay to come in here. And you know what I mean? And
fucking
also,
rich people doing rich people shit.
Precisely. So the townspeople said, fuck you. And they came back, and I don't really know how it worked out, but there's a whole story of the town. They bought back the land from Hilton, shut the resort down, ripped it apart, and opened like a public pool and like change room so that you can go and use the hot springs, and now they're just free.
And
now you
I
can
do
just
remember.
like go.
I remember the pool because that pool is such a smart fucking idea. Like if you get too hot, you just go jump in the pool, cool down, and then go back to it. Like that's brilliant.
It was great. I mean, it was a good day. And again, man, it was just like, I think I had been there barely 18 months prior, and so I knew I was in the area and I had fallen in love with it and I just wanted to go. And it was just so cool to have. I don't even know. I think that picture showed him, and it had people in it, but I think you took that picture because you're not even in that picture.
Hold up. I think I am in the picture. Hold up. I swear I'm in the photo.
Do you think that's you on the left? Because I don't think that's you. I think that's somebody else. No, I could be wrong.
Nah, because I still own this fucking this unicorn T-shirt. That's me right there in the fucking.
That is you. That is you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm wearing this. I'm wearing my Star Wars hat, and I'm wearing. I still own it too from that. From the Milwaukee date. They came in with the dope ass T-shirts and shit, and it's got a fucking unicorn in it. It says, "I'm more majestic than you," with a fucking unicorn. It's honestly one of my favorite shirts of all time. But I will say, man, like and I, just like you were saying, like it feels good knowing that like you were trusted to give us a day like that. Like, this is me just kind of fucking blowing some more hot smoke up your ass, man. But for real, like you truly gave me one of the best days of my life with that journey. Like not only to be out there with friends and now people I consider family, not only to do something that not a lot of people have done, to understand like I love the connection with nature, right? Like you can go to a theme park like we did in Penn. There was a theme park at one of our venues, and that's cool. Like that was fun. We rode roller coasters and did all of that shit. But like to truly do something that not only was enjoyable, that not only had the camaraderie of all of our friendships to collectively, but to experience a journey with people, to then experience something that not a lot of people in maybe even in Wyoming, Colorado, and that whole area have experienced, let alone within this country, let alone this world, to be in a place where we can connect with nature and connect with ourselves, take a moment to breathe, take a moment to relax, take a moment for our mental health. It just, like, I'm telling you, man, like it was one of the turning points as I was going through everything, with my brother. Like, not a lot of people know when I slid that fucking curtain shut at night, I more or less was like just thinking about my brother, man. Tear up almost every single night thinking about my brother. And it was like from that day on, because then like Vegas happened and then Tahoe happened and Paris got moved from the secondary stages to the main stages, and we started having our dance competitions. And I know I've mentioned that a few times, but like these are moments within the moments of Warped Tour that like helped shape me moving forward. And I'm just here to like let you know, like you were an integral part in that, and that day was an integral part in like my healing process. And so like, well, like it was an amazing day. Like, and don't rely on your TV, don't rely on video games or buying the latest headphones or whatever to try to make yourself happy, man. When you need it, find a cool springs or a hot springs. Find a place with nature where you can truly with nature, with yourself, man. I can't tell you, like, just the feeling I got just sitting down in this hot spring, around my people, smoking blunt allegedly, like drinking a beer allegedly, like there were. Dude,
in those beautiful like wilderness that you
well, like in the photo that we earlier, and for all on ESP, I'm actually gonna post that photo, man. I'm gonna post it with the shit on Instagram so you can see that photo. But that photo was along the journey, like that was when we were there, and that was part of the beauty of it, is like someone would have us pull over, be like, yo, this is a dope. Like I had on top
Yeah, he's going out in the wilderness and shit. Okay, I'm not
yeah, man.
Because do you recall that country album? So this was Libby Flats, and we decided to name our like sad country band Libby Flats. Country.
Oh my god, I fucking forgot about Libby Flats. Yo, we gotta go. We gotta get everybody in the fucking photo in a group chat. And all you, bro, do this in a fucking, because I know you're probably friends with more of them than I am on Facebook, because I've switched times. But please, for the love of God, put us in a fucking Libby Flats. See what happens.
I feel like if I don't do this right now, I'll forget.
Oh God, dude.
Dude, look.
And see, people, this is what I'm talking about, man. Like, these are moments forgotten but not lost. And like, this is why relationships are so important, man. Like, you know, we talked about it in the podcast earlier this week, 60 Minutes with Rice. The episodes covering episodes 102 through 109, 103 through 109. And we talked about the fact that, like just friendship is necessary, man. Like, just like how cool things are, and like, you know, how nice it is to catch up because we haven't in a while, right? And that right there was a moment, was a memory we latched on for a week. Fucking Libby Flats was and it went out of my mind because obviously, like, things, but those moments come back around, you maintain the relationships, man. And just, you know, it's like, you gotta not only, like, you know, some folks, like, you yourself through the definition of a relationship is for you with them. But, you know, just like, man, like, that's my homie, my fan for life. There's a reason why, and it's because of, man, we'll talk about, like, the camaraderie and connection. And, you know, these conversations are overlapping. But I don't know if it happened earlier in this podcast or the last one we mentioned, like, you had just lost your brother. And so that connection of someone who understood what was happening, what I was going through, and what was needed in that moment. Oh, shit, hold up. Okay, just did it, man. You named it Libby Flats. I'm still crying. Yo.
I have no idea who is even gonna look at this right now, but I threw every single person in that photograph into that group chat right now. So that's brilliant. I'm proud of me for that. That was good. We'll see. We'll continue on with our thing, and people. I want to see who might respond.
Yeah. Oh, we got some views.
No, Danny, of course. I'm pretty sure has viewed it. Who's viewed?
Let's see. Seen by Jake. Sam and Jake. Oh man, hold up. All right, so we're gonna let this rock. We're gonna see what kind of responses we get. So this is man, I'm crying over here, man. But this is a story that's gonna live down, not only for myself and for Sam, but it's gonna live down for everybody who was involved that day. And you know, I think it's important to talk about these stories and to reflect on these stories, not only the good stories and the bad stories, because you know, that's how we. What a memory right there. There we go. Fucking A, man. That it is. But it's these memories like Libby Flats, like this the Cheyenne trip, like Warped Tour that we've been talking about for the last hour. And you know, not only is this right here an opportunity for me and Sam to catch up, which you've heard us fucking doing for the last hour and almost 2 hours, a little over 2 hours now if you combine the other podcast. But it's also a time to like comprehend the power of stories and the power of memories, good and bad. And you know, I think that's what's great about reflection is it can give you that clarity of like where you've been, where you're going, and all of that. And I don't want that to sound cliche, true happiness to me right now. Like, I don't know.
Bringing it back to your consciousness.
Bringing it back in consciousness, man, because being able to tell stories is important. And it's actually one of the things I love about what you're doing now, man, is you're opening yourself up to speak on your journey and to speak on your stories and really kind of the floods of just what those journeys mean, not only to you but around you. And so we're here, man, to talk up, to also kind of let you talk about opening yourself up and opening up, you know, kind of on, man, to tell these stories.
Yeah. So, well, first off, I appreciate that. Secondly, you know, it's interesting because I dovetail from this story to Wyoming with one. This is I actually, I know we talked about this earlier, but I wrote a weekly blog about located here at FW called Static Magazine, and we opened an avenue then that I wish I would have explored more, but I started to write about Libby Flats. I started to write about so, and I let it take off, but my intent with those blogs, aside from everything else that you've mentioned, is I actually do intend to bring those back, those same posts, and I intend to finish it off this time.
I love that. I absolutely love
kind
that.
I know how I want to sound around the story out. I actually think it might even be better that I wait like years to come back to it, because I have a completely different perspective now than I did at the time. And at the time, it was a positive perspective, but it's even more positive now, you know? So that's what's cool to me. So what am I doing? Secondarily to that, you know, I've alluded to it a few times. I kind of started talking about it at the end of the live stream on Twitch, but basically, you know, the last 10 months of everyone's lives have been difficult. The last 10 months of my life have been very unique and for me. Basically took a life that I had built for myself for 6 years and turned it on its head and put me in a position where I didn't want anymore. And on that journey, you know, I faced a lot of adversity. I put a lot of myself, which, you know, there's other people and other factors causing your problems. And basically, the last 10 months have been a great combination of me making poor choices, coupled with the people around me making poor choices, coupled with COVID, like fucking everyone's heads up.
Yeah.
And it kind of like led me to a point where I had to make some really drastic life changes. So what I decided to do to kind of wrap my head around these things that I went through and come to a kind of conclusive place where I really understand them and I'm at peace with them was just to write about it. And so like what I'm doing with BuzzKill Blogs started off initially just like purely therapeutically. Like I'm just doing this for me. And as I started writing, I realized there was some substance there. And not to like, but like I consider myself a pretty interesting and talented writer. So as I'm expanding the story and I'm kind of like daily adding to it, but also going back and reading it, I'm sitting here going like, man, there's a lot here. And there's not only entertainment value here, but there's like life lesson value here. Right. So what is, and for everybody who doesn't know, we're going to kind of have these moments of trailing off because people are responding to our group chat now and they're just like loving this shit, which same, I am too. This is good. But anyway, back to what I was saying, as I kind of started doing this writing and this self-diagnosis, I realized that there was maybe a chance for me to finally express myself to the world and to the people around me, and maybe to people who are in a similar position and don't know how to work through their own shit themselves. You know, like my path has been unique, and no one's going to share the same experiences that I have. But if somebody can learn a lesson about themselves and feel better about themselves from something that I experienced, then I'm happy that I'm presenting myself out there, you know? So I'm trying to do two things. I'm trying to help heal myself, and I'm trying to help people realize that they can heal themselves. And I just, I don't know, man. I feel like I'm in a unique position to offer that with my writing, basically. So that's what I'm trying to do with BuzzKill Blogs. And then secondarily from that is, if I can take this avenue of self-healing and self-help, and I can turn it into like a career, or like a real, like, coherent thing that makes me money that I can live off of, you know? So beyond just writing this one little story, but like actually blogging weekly about just like life, how you're doing the 60-second videos, very similar, but you know, mine was obviously going to be like written word and shit like that.
Yeah.
So if I can expand to that, and then maybe I can create my own reality for myself. Maybe I can stop following other people's dreams, working for other people, and work for me, and create a reality that's my own. So those are the three goals. Goal one, myself, fucking heal my mind, get my mind back to where it was when I felt good about me pre-COVID. Two, help others, people who are struggling and having a hard time with themselves, who may be feeling alone. And then thing three is creating a potential future for myself that is doing something that I love and I'm passionate about, that is fully myself. It's fully me. It's fully realized as Sam. It's not, you know, as an employee to someone who, you know, I have to graciously pander to in order to pull in a paycheck. And, you know, it doesn't mean I might not have to work those jobs in a short-term sense, but there's that long-term goal of like creating something that people can relate to and latch on to, that allows me to step out of that kind of typical career funnel of, you know, being beholden to other people, basically.
No, I understand that completely, man. Like, to kind of escape the endless cycle of appeasing somebody else for their idea, or for their, like, you could love you like, you could get into the self-help industry but wind up working for someone else who's making all the money, or making all the decisions, and making all the thoughts when it comes to how to approach self-help. And so I think really finding your own journey and finding your own path through this, not only to heal yourself but help heal those who can relate, is just super powerful, man. I really believe so.
I'm just in love with this group chat real quick.
Oh, no, I definitely, I'm missing the,
So, yeah, I mean, so we're starting off the blog with a pretty weird story.
yeah,
it's weird.
So actually walk us through it. I'm gonna switch the stream over to the screen share section. So I actually got your website pulled up now, man. So that way anyone who's viewing it on YouTube can see exactly what you're talking about, man. So here is the initial home screen of BuzzKill Blogs. If you are listening on a DSP, buzzkillblogs.com, BuzzKillBlogs. Check it out. It is honestly, you know, it's I think this has to really hit people all around the world, stories, and to hear your journey to help us get through ours.
Well, I appreciate that, and I think that how I write about my experiences, there is a natural balance in life in anything that happens, from what external factors to internal factors. And the way that I try and write each entry and tell the story narratively is that you'll find in my journey over the last few months, as I tell it, that frequently I am the cause of my own problems, and that just as frequently other people cause problems. It's a 50-50 game in life. And so the thing that I really am trying to kind of put out there the most here is that you can recognize and objectively see for yourself areas where you did what you could and failed. And you can objectively see areas in your life where you didn't do everything that you could. And that is why you failed.
Yeah.
And so I think the lesson here is a certain sense of self-accountability, right? Like, I read a lot of biographical stuff. I really like true history, right? Like, I don't like to read novelizations, and fiction is not really like my favorite kind of type of literature to read. I really enjoy taking in true stories of real people, right? And one of the things that I have always noticed with that genre that is always missing is a lack of self-accountability. Very rarely when you read people's words about their own lives are they objective about themselves. There's a lot of blame on other people, and that might be warranted. But when you don't combine the blame of other people who might have genuinely been at fault with accepting that you might have also been fucked up at certain points,
Exactly.
I think it diminishes the lessons learned, and it also diminishes the lesson. So one of the things that I think people will notice as they read my shit is, for every paragraph, sentence, word that is written potentially negative about someone else, you're going to see just as much transparency and truth towards my view of me at the time. So I think the thing I want people to take away from that is toxic people, or changing your environment. True change come from within. If you can't recognize areas in life, you're probably not in a position. So that's like the overarching in this initial story. If you've got the website pulled up,
I actually have the story pulled up right now. I'm in the first paragraph that leads off. I'm in a funk and don't even know where to begin. So I kind of have that section. I zoomed in on it for anyone watching on the Twitch stream, anyone that watches on YouTube, that they can actually see this. See the article, the blog that you have up here. Really seeing your story of and the return to.
Yeah, and it's so. I mean, obviously, post introductory as much as anything. So 2 bottles of whiskey. At least one bottle of whiskey, Josh. At least one. At least one.
The question is, was it Jameson though? Because I know that was like the go-to for us all was Jamos and Pickleback. Had to have been Pickle. I don't know. I don't think we had the pickles out there. I think we did have. We definitely had a couple bottles. I remember that. We definitely killed
a couple bottles. I know we crushed one. 2 I'm unsure of, but I know
enough one. Weed to put down an army.
This is true, man.
Deceased.
So
shit.
The story that I'm starting off with, and it bleeds into a few other events, but this was really the kickoff. The story that I'm telling is a falling out with a roommate that I had. Mm-hmm. And dude, anybody who's in a situation, a handful of the things that I'm going to talk about in this story. I know in the first section, I kind of just set some background information. I couldn't think of the term. So, we're not in the meat and potatoes of anything. I just kind of like laid the pipes out, laid the foundation, got ready to build the house. The house is going to start getting built in the next week's stuff. But like, there were areas where just failed to act appropriately. There were areas where I just failed to act appropriately. And there were areas where we just didn't communicate properly or well enough with one another to resolve our issues in a healthy way. And it leads to something that I'm anonymous. You and I talked about it earlier between us, but I'm going to leave it because I'm trying to let the appetite and encourage folks to come back and read the next or two. But it leads to one of the most physically intense moments that I've probably had in the last 5 years of my life. And it does adequately kick off every other thing that kind of came after it that eventually led me to where I'm at in Texas. Excuse me. So, I don't know if you've ever had a shitty roommate, if you've ever been a shitty roommate, if you've ever wanted to, scream at your roommate, if you've ever found yourself on the out and out of a living situation that you didn't think you should have found yourself out of. I think you can relate to what I'm going to talk about in this. And the end of the story will, with some interest in some level of objective analysis, where both parties went wrong, where both parties could have behaved better, and what this was a precursor to.
Yeah. So, for me, I shared the first 2 paragraphs. I left them up there for a while you were talking about it, just to give people that, like, hey, here's kind of the introductory to what BuzzKill Blogs is going to be about, what the story is about, things like that. And so really, the goal, here is that I want to, am highlighting is the fact that I want people to tune in, and I want people to come to really read your story and hopefully find that area that we can relate, because I can relate. I can relate with cracking a beer too, which is what just happened for all the people who are listening on the audio only formats. But if you want Stone Cold to crack a beer, give me a hell yeah, hell yeah. Nah, but I can relate. Like even just a story about a roommate fallout. I had a fallout with an old business partner. I had who tried to stab one of my roommates, who was also a shitty roommate. So it was like a double whammy, like going on in college. Like shit was fucking crazy, and like
that's insane.
And like I mean, the dude literally put a virus in my server and crashed my whole business. Like because he was the webmaster. Yeah, like it was like a real and he was living at my place for free and all this shit, and like it's like you tried to stab the person who actually pays, even though like I'm annoyed with them and like they're a shitty roommate, like they still pay, and like there's a respect level that if he says you got to go, like I can't say no not to do that. He's on the fucking lease. Like he was cool enough to also accept the fact that you wanted to crash here, like, and that was fine. And it's just like, and then there were fucking issues with that roommate. And it's just like those stories alone like are very relatable, let alone when you start getting into deeper things like you and I have talked about, like where this is going to go. And so just to kind of ask the question, man, and for the people who want to tune in to like what you're going to be writing, like what would you say, like how are you going to go about telling your stories? Are you going to just pick and choose like us on that, or is it just the story that inspires you as you are contemplating and reflecting on your life and your journey and things you want to focus on? If the topic of mental health comes up, or the topic of depression, like isolated as a part of mental health comes up, are you going to focus in on stories in a collective, or are you going to kind of just like walk us through like what your thought process is on like how you're going to run through like talking about these journeys, talking about these stories, what is there any method to the madness that I know is tucked within that brilliant brain of yours?
Well, so okay, so God, I have to give the most vague answer ever because yes and no, right?
Okay,
So,
getting the
yeah,
political response. All right.
yeah, right. Okay, so in the kind of yes quadrant, the kind of like how am I approaching this? I mean, the straightforward answer is because there's a clear timeline. Story one very clearly is going to take place March, April, May of last year.
Yeah.
Story two is going to be about some career shifts that I went through, some professional career shifts I went to. Well, that all takes place April, May, June, right?
Yeah.
And then the next aspect of it is going to be talking about some of my interpersonal relationships that started to have a really hard time. And that lays out really well in June, July, August, right? So there's this clear delineation that I am following. So as I'm approaching writing the next piece, it's chronological. It's okay, this happened first, this happened next, right?
Yeah.
But I'm also not just starting and stopping in that specific timeline. So the story I'm telling now and a lot of the introductory stuff that people can check out right now on the blog is stuff that, while very broad and not very specific, it covers 3 or 4 years of history in a pretty quick period of time. Starting next week, then we'll get into the timeline, right? And we'll be in like the current, like here we're telling the story, right? Part 2 of the story, talking about my career stuff, it also goes back 3, 4, 5 years, right?
Yeah.
And it follows that backstory, and then it jumps back into the current timeline and breaks down how all of this historical stuff affects what's going on here. Now, as for like how I'm approaching the mental health aspect of it, the initial chunks of this story will probably almost exclusively just express that I struggle with these things.
Yeah.
Okay? Like the general idea at the beginning of the story, as we're telling the story, as it's going forward, isn't to offer the solutions or what I chose to do to respond to these things up front. It's to tell the story. So we're going to tell the story, and then as I get to the end, as I've gotten through the details so that people can understand the backstory and where I was mentally at the time I had to make this decision, then we're going to start talking about the deeper kind of personal things that I have done to work on myself, you know? And what's interesting is there was a whole set of stuff that I was doing pre-COVID that became inaccessible to me when COVID hit, that also directly relates to how I kind of got so far off mentally and so dark mentally. And so that's definitely going to be a part of the story as well, where it's like you can be doing everything right and working your ass off in the correct ways to be the best person that you can, and factors outside of yourself can shut that down. And how do you respond? And so a big factor of the story is maybe I didn't respond very well at first, you know, and maybe I had to figure out over a chunk of time that while sure other factors are at play that I can't control, the stuff that I could control, I was not controlling very well. And I needed to put myself in a position to do so. So that'll be the like broad kind of like, let's paint the picture of how dark my reality was. And then let's talk about what I'm doing and what I have done to be better and different from that. And I think all of it arches really well together. Like the timeline works with the process of healing, right?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I'm trying to approach it. You know, give the broad strokes, give the pain, and then give the resolution. And then I feel like for me, my response has been so much more kind of like open compared to how I was when I got myself in the sticky situation. And it's vague now that I'm trying to be vague. What I was trying to say is I feel like the journey that I went on, both through the process of everything getting shitty and the process that I'm on right now of healing, is really relatable. And I think it's accessible, and I think it's just something that like need the courage to do something similar in their own lives. Doing and taking my own life in my own fucking hands and creating what I want of it, and that is something that literally anyone can do. And if I can in some way encourage somebody to look at their life and go, I'm unwilling to be like this, but I am willing to be somebody better, and they can make that choice for themselves, like even if it's just like one fucking person, even if it's just me,
Yeah.
then I'm doing something worthwhile, you know? So that's what I'm trying to do with this, man. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that, man. And it's one of the reasons why, like, when you put the announcement out, what was it, last week, that you like dropped it on, public on Facebook, like, hey guys, this is the move. It was like a week and a half ago. You're like, this is the move. Here's my website. Put your email in. Like, do all of that. Please sign up. And that's why, like, as soon as I saw that on my feed, I was like, here, I'm in it. I'm with it. I love this concept. My brother, growing up around him, I was 10 years younger than him. There was a 10-year gap between us, and he dealt with depression and anxiety. He dealt with, he kind of prescribed himself with schizophrenia. He was dealing with a lot of shit. He had an abusive father, an abusive stepmother. Everyone around him was alcoholics or drug addicts. We were growing up in a poor neighborhood, so there were always bad influences around. And it was a situation where, for me, I had always dealt with mental health. Before I even realized I had my own battle to fight, I helped my brother fight his. I referred to me as it. I always referred to myself as it. I was my brother's keeper. I was the calming factor when things would start to spiral. It was like if I was around, there was this like kryptonite. It was the part of my brother that like it was like the good part. He couldn't drown in drugs or alcohol or anything like it. Like I myself would help kind of center him. I would talk to him. I would just be there for him, because as a kid, I'm not coming with a thing that you give children, right? And in my conversation, the beauty of the innocent children is that I didn't know what depression was. I didn't know what anxiety was. I didn't know alcoholism and drug addicts, and I didn't know what any of that meant. I just knew that was my older brother, and I loved him, and I looked up to him. And so when he was in pain, when he was feeling down, all I wanted to do was up. And like, it was such a powerful thing to know, to now reflect, obviously, reflections of 2020, you see everything clear. It's just been dealing with a lot of this my entire life, where I myself have. It's why I'm passionate about it, why like I've gone through knowing how I can even relate to that on a personal level. I was like, man, I just want to have this conversation with him, just to be able to shine light on what you're doing, but also to learn more about it, because it means a lot to me.
Well, okay, so yeah, I mean, you've been in everything that you just said. We have both been unfortunate to have experienced the loss of a brother at an age that we should not have lost a brother.
No.
And in a way that we should not have lost our brother. Brothers. It's interesting to hear your perspective because where we differ in what we experienced is that age difference. So I lost a younger brother. And the unfortunate reality that I have to live with every day is that my brother learned a lot of his fucked up behaviors from me and from my friends because we were doing that shit and bringing him and his friends around and introducing them to it. And, the conversation that I had with my probably about a year away. And for people who don't know, he overdosed on so about will make a lot more sense in the framework of his passing. I picked him up one day doing treatment, trying to get his life right. And, I mean, barely 19 at the time, and I picked him up. I was trying to just like have a conversation with him and like be have like this, like, how was your day? Like, you look good. Like, here's what I've been doing. Just with that normal conversation. Just kind of staring out the window. I'm kind of looking at addict. Like, I'm going to wake up every day for the rest of my life to put drugs in my body. And I was like, fuck, man. The honest answer is you might.
Yeah.
We had to have this real conversation about that, and that was the first time I really worried about my brother. Like, he'd always had some drugs, which we can go into in more depth. But that conversation that we had with me, while I had a lot of stupid and poor substances and how I interacted with them, I never went off the end of becoming an addict. You could call me an abuser. I abused plenty of drugs in my day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm comfortable using that term. It fits the best. But addiction is the disease of choice, right? And so when you're an addict, you can't choose the right thing for yourself. And I don't ever think that I crossed that territory. When I would feel like I was out of control, I would stop. I would back up. I would pull in the reins, right?
Yeah.
My brother was an addict. Like, he couldn't say no. And they wound up taking his life. And what's sad is I realized probably a year and a half, whenever that was, that conversation, I think I realized then, even if OD and die, I realized in that moment that the rest of his life was going to be painful for him and a struggle to stay sober and stay healthy. And I think about that conversation a lot, because he was scared. It was a moment where he was starting to realize, like, I might never be able to control this, and it's just unfortunate that kind of kept him from getting right with his mind. I want to continue this conversation, but I got to use the restroom. I've been chugging these beers, and they're rolling to me.
Stand, man. Let's we will take us a little bit of intermission. Tell me if you name this tune. And 3, 2, 1. All right, we are in fact back from intermission. What seemed a little transition that was in post-production? Oh yeah. So I mean, let's we can kind of pop back in, see where we at, man. We were kind of talking about our experiences with our brothers. I think
it's a hard topic,
It really is, like, man.
It's tricky because I don't want to speak for you, so for myself, it forms so much of who I've been over the last 2021.
Nope, that's speaking for me, man.
Almost 9 full years since this happened in my life. um, so much of me and like who I am, and honestly, a lot of like sometimes a lot of my simple like day to day challenges I didn't even realize onto from that, you know. Um, but then on the other hand, it's like, and maybe you can relate to this. It's like I have a hard time wanting to talk about it very often because it's such a heavy topic.
Yeah.
And you know, like while I want to express what I've been through and I want to share that with people and I want to keep him living on in my memories and whatnot, it's also like it can be overwhelming to people. It can be difficult for me to just like bring that up because it's like when you talk about your dead brother, like, you know, when is that appropriate? You know, it's appropriate when you're talking to who's similar and you can relate. They're always going to talk about like you are. Yeah. But really interacting with, you know, the average person, it's a really difficult thing because you it's kind of like just like always like right here, and it's like I want to talk about it because it's very important for me. So, do I want to bring that vibe into this conversation? You know, and sometimes you have to, sometimes it needs to be done and whatnot. But there's always that play going on of like, when do I talk about this? How do I talk about it?
And for me, part of my grieving process after the summer we had, you know, then I went, you know, then I moved to Nashville. You know, it was like my brother died. And the shitty part about it, and I don't know if I ever told you this part when we were on tour, the shitty part about everything was I was a manager of Chipotle while I was out in Oregon working with some people on some music shit. I was also a manager at Chipotle, and we had a bunch of college kids. And so for the entire month of December, we were short-staffed. Well, my general manager was like, hey, man, like, is there, I know you got to fly out to Ohio for a family Christmas thing. Like, you know, there's a Christmas party that my dad's girlfriend's family does every year. Now, ex-girlfriend, now I don't even fucking say her name because I don't fuck with her. She said some crazy shit on my mother, and I don't fuck her. Like, don't speak ill on my brother. Like, you will get every bit of my wrath. But the point being is, like, he asked me not to fly out the last week of December for Christmas. And, you know, being the good little soldier I was, you know, you kind of alluded to working for somebody else. Right now, refuse to work for anybody else other than myself or work for people who understand me, right? And so I won't work anywhere or for anyone where I'm a fucking dick. I don't do it. Like, if I have zero value to you other than you this when we tell you and do it right, fuck off. Like, they're gonna fly with me. Because my trip by 2 weeks in order to allow all these college kids to come back to town at their shifts. It was because of that 2 weeks that I wasn't there with my brother. That I didn't get to see him because my scheduled flight was January 7th. And my brother was in a rehab facility for alcohol. He'd found God, he had found religion, like, and it was his path of religion. I know that's not for everybody, but you know, my brother was a person of extremisms in circumstances. So, like, he was really in his dark place. Like, he was like studying about Satanism and like opening portals and all of this and all of this stuff. And then later in life, when he was trying to clear his mind and clear his head, he wound up finding, he read the Bible. You know, he just been a good, just read it and just inspired to be a better human being and started on healing himself. And not only internally and spiritually, I mean, he still grew mushrooms and weed and like he loved like Native American culture, not because he wanted to like someone like what's the word for I can't think of the word right now when like a white dude has cornrows.
Oh, cultural appropriation.
He wasn't trying to appropriate Native Americans. He actually really enjoyed studying and learning about the actual heritage of being from America. You know, like he truly loved that. He loved the spiritual connection. So he found a balance for himself between the being preached in the Bible and the actual connectivity to nature and spiritualism that Native Americans had. and still have, I should say. And so he was some really fuck shit. My brother got fucked hard through your own journey. You witnessed from a brother that life, for some reason, wants to deal some people's really bad hands. And repeatedly, my brother dealt really, really bad hands. And I mean, there were things that, you know, I understand. I myself don't do hard drugs. You know, I myself have moved away from drinking alcohol as much. Like, I'll still do it. I mean, shit, I got a bottle of fucking Jameson in there. I got a bottle of vodka in there. You know, I still buy beer. But, like, for me, and you were alluding to it earlier, where, like, you moved, your life kind of changed throughout, you know, as you've processed everything, you know, these years. Same for me, where, you know, my brother was having alcohol, and then a really bad storm happened, and the place got flooded, and they moved him in the room with these people who were drug addicts. He didn't want to be around. He didn't give a fuck about any of the people like it was about that life. He was like, I'm done with this. I don't want to be around this. Like, he would say shit. You know, like, I don't want to be around this. And it really sucks that they're putting us in this house. And of course, it was two heroin addicts. And I had a really, really fucked law where if you OD'd, it was marked D. They were on investigation. They would not do anything. It was a really fucked loophole system. And so when he got his check, and he was like, pulled out the money to pay for the rent and utilities and stuff for staying in the rehab facility, he just paid privately monthly through his disability checks. He would pay privately, pull it out, waited, you know, he'd pull it out, wait, and then the next day when the admin would come in, he'd hand him money, right? Well, this dudes knew he had money, and they fucking the loophole. Was a dealer, one was an addict, and they knew the loophole between on what Ohio's laws were. And it was a really fucked situation, and it's hard for me to talk about it. Like, I get really talking about it. So the reason why what I'm alluding to is the conversation we were just having. It's a conversation to have. People sometimes want to, like, they work something where you have to debate whether you want to, because people don't want that negativity at that moment, but like,
some shit. Do I drop on this person now?
Well, you know, and part of the moving process is when I went, you know, my buddy Chris Margo is who I was moving with. He's a buddy of mine. Used to work for there, obviously. I don't know that's gonna make him happy, and you know, me and pretty other people. Was it? I know other kind of support system that was there. And when you're not on Warped Tour, like, Warped Tour is a whole different environment. And like, it is day in, day out for 20 hours a day. You see the same people, you kick it with the same people. And so for me, you know, I had none of these tattoos when we were on tour. And part of my grieving was more or less kind of solidifying my brother's memory forever. You know? And so that's what this entire right sleeve is. You know, I've got a cross on my back that represents faith and family. The vine come up and they lead over to these, you know, this has to with leaves of people and vines, and my brother has his own vine and leaf that runs all the way down for trees to, you know, music notes, everything like that is on this. Well, these people look at my tattoos and they have two reactions. They absolutely love it and they want to talk about it. They want to talk, like, you know, the connectivity of the, you know, the names. What is this about? Because it was part of my grieving process. The other side of the story, and I'm sure you've probably ran into some people like this as well, who they don't like tattoos. They think, why are you painting God's perfect body? And laugh about it sometimes when I'm talking to people. You know, like when I talk to people in retrospect of like a situation like that, but like when a situation like that comes up, I have to be like, oh, my tattoos, let me tell you about it. My brother was killed. The cops didn't think about it. And so part of my grieving process, this is my family tree that represents my family and my faith, because I have a giant cross on my back. As soon as I say that, all these, God, and why are you ruining his body? They're like, oh. Hey, stop. Call from Mama Rice. Hold on. Hey, Ma, let me call you back in the middle of a podcast right now.
Ma.
If I had my Bluetooth turned up, it would have came through the speaker, but
okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. It really, it's fun reaction when they have a perspective. I think it's something that people going to in a way, like even when my father doesn't approve of a single tattoo I got, but the fact that when I tell him what each individual tattoo means, down to like one individual name and why they have a fucking on my arm, and the fact that I have a story behind each and every single reason of my tattoo, even like my father, who absolutely despises tattoos, when I run into like these super God-fearing Catholics from bumfuck Egypt, Kentucky, or Tennessee, or wherever, as soon as I say my tattoo represents my dead brother, and this is my grieving process, also represents faith and family, shut up. And it's really interesting that once people get a perspective that they can relate to, that the story now makes sense, you know? And it's still a hard thing for me to do, because even right now I can talk about that, like, haha, you dumbasses, like, you have zero clue what this tattoo means. I'm about to fucking check you. But still, it's like, I shouldn't have to. In reality, I shouldn't have to check anyone, because tattoos are. But it's like, every time they do that, it brings up that painful memory of me having to now talk about it, regardless whether I'm in the mood to talk about it or not.
Yeah. So, for example, we're talking about it in a more specific fashion. This tattoo here in his ankle, terrible, his brother's face. And do you see how it is?
Yeah.
Compared to like this arm that has just like shit going on.
Yeah.
Like, out here, and it's like by itself. Maybe I can do like a.
Oh no! Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Okay. So proud to wear this. This tattoo being by itself, it really creates a scenario for me anytime I meet a new person. I don't think I can meet a new person without, unless they're the kind of rad person who doesn't talk about your tattoos, which is preferred. Dude, don't talk to me about it. You know what I mean? Like
the people that are the worst are the ones that come up to you and start touching you and think that your tattoos are an open invitation to fucking touch me.
No, man. That's it. You got to get consent for that shit, you know. But this has definitely left me in positions to have to. Fuck, I almost think that the first time you and I discussed this is because you were like, hey, who is that? Or like you asked me about this tattoo. I don't fully remember, but I almost feel like the first time you and I even, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and that, because
when it comes to a situation like a person where I have common ground with them, it's a whole other equation. But still, the door was open just by virtue of me having it on such a public level of display. So I can relate to you in a certain sense, you know.
Well, and I believe our conversation was also the fact that, like, I had been talking about doing a family tree piece since I was like 12, right?
Well, I remember you to me. I after you got it, I was like, this motherfucker talked around it and fucking did it.
Yeah, dude, I have fucking bags. That's the one thing about Warped Tour is, like, you can really earn some bags out there, and I definitely did. And like, I was like, cool, I can finally do this. Like, I can do this thing I've been talking about. I adapted from like 3/4 sleeves on each side, one side for family, one side for friends, where I had adapted that concept in my head where I wanted to get it where an entire sleeve was dedicated to my brother. And I believe that was the concept of the circulation around, it's probably in a smoke circle. We were kicking it. And like I was talking about my tattoos, and like we started talking about, tattoos that had meaning to us. And I believe that's where I had asked you, like, because I had noticed that, like, most people don't just get like faces tattooed on them, right? Or at least like you said, you have Dirk Nowitzki tattooed on you. Like that's probably not somewhere as visible as like the bottom part of your arm. Yeah, exactly. Like that's in the upper inside, right? And so like even
my whole upper area is portraits, but like look what happens when I pull down my sleeve.
Yeah, like it's exactly. And so like when you're wearing a typical t-shirt, like, and that's sort of the thought process is the tattoos that mean something. And I think you kind of approached it in the same way, as this tattoo is meant for me. This tattoo is meant for myself. And so I want it to be in the most visible place, which is why I even, I mean, and this is why I put the fucking rice bowls on my hands, because Money Green, who rated us earlier, he's the one who gave me the nickname White Rice, because I said, I'm going to be on it like white on rice. And so like, as in
shout out to you tuned in earlier. That was cool.
Dude, fucking massive raid, 33 people, man. Like, I love the fact that I think this was a cool idea to do it on Twitch, where like people can participate and take part in like what we're doing.
Have over 30 people watching us for a minute.
Yeah, for a good minute there, we had like mid 30s, and then it dropped to the mid 20s and stuck pretty heavy for like the tail end of the first pod.
Look, man, my expectations in life, expectations are really weird because we have them. They're built into our brains, so like you can't avoid them, but they're like also not the greatest thing to have, right? And you don't want to like on them, right? So my expectations, I always try and keep down here. My expectation was like, maybe like 2-3 people chime in, watch, The fact that we had 30 people is like impressive to me. I'm like, that's fucking awesome. Like, who the fuck? 30 plus people want to fucking listen to my bitch ass talk about shit? Like, what the hell?
And so I mean, it's but it and just
homies. Thank you for coming and checking it out.
And so it's like, and that's why I got this tattoo that's why I got these tattoos right here, is because today, and I explained it kind of in my post, but like it is a daily reminder now of my work ethic and me sticking to my word, because that's how I got this nickname. Is like by the way,
I want to shout it out. It's the Kobe tribute, dude.
No,
it's a black mamba with fucking purple and gold all up in it. Here I am. I love basketball, and he's like the only good white player since Larry Bird's face tattooed on him. And I'm sitting here going like, oh, man, Dirk, let's not get smirching. The man was an amazing basketball player, and I was blessed to be a fan of him. Here, if you look at the top players of last years, I don't keep that list. Yeah. You got
here's the uncle.
Tim Duncan gets in the top 10, but fuck Tim Duncan and fuck.
You just hating on the Spurs, man. You just hating on the Spurs.
Texas team that is in the Mavericks. That's what I'm hating on. Fuck Houston. Fuck San Antonio. But also, like, goddamn, I would kill to have that kind of run. You know what I mean? Point being, it felt disingenuous to me to be a massive basketball supporter and have no black representation on my tattoos. Have no represent and not even maybe even necessarily black representation, but have a representation of who the true greats are. Like it doesn't mean I need to outright go and get Kobe Bryant's face tattooed on me, But like, why the fuck am I not paying homage to somebody who has had such a significant role in my personal life, just with my basketball fandom and what I watched that man do for 18 years, you know? It seemed disingenuous to support Dirk Nowitzki and not support this, you know? And then I've actually expanded on that. So I'm almost done filling this arm in. I mean, you can see gaps here and shit like that. Once this is done, the next thing is to finish all my portraits. And the next portrait I want to get fucking Michael Jordan's face tattooed on me. That man is the GOAT. That man is the fucking greatest of all time. He might be the best athlete in all sports of all time. I mean, you could think about the people who he's in company with. Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Kobe Bryant, the Wayne Gretzky. I don't even know if I'd even count Kobe. I mean, Kobe's big, but like, damn, Michael was a whole other thing.
I mean, and then you start looking at, you know, the soccer scene and like the amount of just you're like global fucking spectrum of like, yeah.
And the Jen Ryer, David Beckham, you got fucking and actually, I was listening to a debate recently on it was actually on TNT watching NBA, and they have Shaq and Dwayne Wade and Kenny the Jet Smith like talking about shit in the pregame show.
Yeah.
They did a like, who do you think the greatest individual athlete of all time is? And Shaq said Floyd Mayweather. And I kind of poo-pooed it when he said it, but as I thought about it, I'm like, well, he might not even be wrong about that, because the man was 50-0. Literally no one beat him. Ever. Like, come on now. Like, how do you say
and that's a one-on-one game too. That's not like Tom Brady had team players around him. MJ had Scotty, and he had Rodman. Yeah, shit. That's a take. I ain't even mad at that take.
It sounded controversial when he said it, but as I thought about it, I'm like, man, that makes sense to me.
That is true.
Do you know who? Okay. Do you know who I think one-upped that? So they have Candace Parker, who is like probably one of the greatest women's basketball players of all time, but also could probably make an argument for top 20 basketball players of all time in general, regardless of gender. She's phenomenal.
Facts. Big facts. She is a fucking baller.
Player. But she gets up there and she then says Serena. Now, Serena Williams definitely has lost a time or two. I mean, it actually happened recently. We can't deny it. It happened. But think about the supremacy of that woman and how much she has just dominated that sport since the mid-90s. It's 2021.
Well, and the fact that
she's still getting to championships in 2021.
And the fact of the matter is that, like, have you seen the Bolt 24 commercial with her where she's like, you're somewhere different when people know you by one name. Everyone just knows her by Serena because she is truly that dominant on a global scale. She is one of the best athletes, I believe, of all time. And that's, it's not a hot take.
I totally went on a tangent there. Back to the whole thing that I was talking about with the great GOATs of all time. He gets more credit than he should because he didn't win as many championships as he should have. He fucking sold out for money. Motherfucker sold out. I won another championship back then. That doesn't put you in the go. Talk about right now. I'm gonna do that. That was it's probably.
But kind of steering back to what we were talking about, man, like, and again, it's just yet another thing that you and I have in a relatable sense. And I think one of the reasons why that connection was just there almost instantaneously and why it's maintained is because we have a very similar approach to our own. We have a similar approach to how we battle those things. We have a similar approach to our thought process and what we believe, you know, the world should look like and how we should approach it. And, you know, and just those similarities, I believe, is what drew us collectively together, to be a part of this. And so I know, and you know exactly how hard it is to speak about, or to be brought into a circumstance where you now have to speak about someone that you've lost. And just how the dynamic of the room can change when you are speaking on that. And, you know, is that going to be something that, you know, are these kind of topics, and kind of just to circle around a little bit more, I always want to try to find a way to kind of tie it back into what you got going on, man. Like, are these the certain type of topics that you're going to be bringing up or on BuzzKill, I should say, where, like, outside of just stories themselves, you know, like kind of talking about how, you know, things like your tattoos and things like that have brought, you know, those uncomfortable conversations in? Like, are you going to speak on some of that stuff as well?
Well, I mean, honestly, a bunch of the concept of BuzzKill Blogs is about being uncomfortable with myself and how to express that to the world. So, I mean, in a way, just definitively, yes. But, you know, more directly to answer your question, as I, you know, I've got my first story that I want to tell, right? I got my return to Texas, like, dream. But the long-term goal with the blog is to expand it beyond. So, and for instance, listen to this past to be like, man, this guy's like all over the place. Like, that's how my fucking blog, you know, like I might tangent about the greatest basketball players of all time for a week and a half, but you know what? I might also talk about the fact that when my brother overdosed on heroin, the guy that he was with stole $1,000 worth of shit off of his body. You know what I mean? Like my goal is to just present what I've experienced right here for people, where they can kind of take their straw and put it in the drink and sip on it and enjoy, you know. And no topic to me is off the books. I think what people will notice, and they'll see it right in the first blog. The thing that the only kind of like censorship or protection that I'm trying to take is to protect the identities of people in my stories in a general sense. You know, everybody's name's going to change. Some of the companies or businesses that I work with, I might not even name. And that's a deliberate choice to give them the comfort of anonymity. Like, even people who might have done something fucked up to me, that, you know, one of my friends might be like, well, fuck that guy, you know, like, okay, yeah, fuck that guy. But like, also, I'm not trying to like ruin anyone's life, you know, like, you have a lot more common ground with your enemies than you think, you know, and in the stories that I plan on telling, like, you're going to see that a lot of the people that I had the biggest problems with throughout my life, were some of my best friends, and we had a lot of good times together. And so I think what I'm trying to do is just present reality and just share what I've been through, in the most blunt and real fashion possible. And if that's a goofy story about sports, or if that's a really deep story about the loss of my brother, or it's something in between, like, I don't really care. I'm at this point, I'm not afraid to just share myself with the world. Because I feel like I spend a lot of the time trying to hide a lot of myself from the world, you know, or maybe hide a lot of myself from myself.
Well, I mean, that's a huge thing, is people hiding from themselves, man. Yeah,
you know. So yeah, I to answer your question directly, yes. Like, I plan on hitting everything, you know, and then I'll just play out over time, you know. You know, I'm going to start episodically and have this kind of deliberate slow march into it. But I mean, starting in April, I really have got a lot of material written. I have enough posts to do. Shit, I could go until May without having to do any original writing if I wanted to. Like I could literally post probably 2 or 3 times a week and get all the way to the end of May with what I've already written. And so much of it is the story that I plan on telling, but I'm already into a section where I'm like kind of beyond that. I'm like, okay, well, we're writing about new shit, you know?
Yeah.
So, I'm just trying to like test the waters, put myself out there, and then as I get response and as I see like people checking it out, then expand. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to be cautious. I'm just trying to be safe. You know what I mean? It's hard. Excuse me, all this beer. You can relate to this, I'm sure. It's hard to put yourself out there.
Yes.
And so you want to control as much of it as possible to make sure that when it gets out there, it's the best that it can be and people respond to it. So that's what I'm trying to do. And that means covering everything, and it means covering it in my own pace.
I love that, man. And I think, and I ask these questions because I'm looking forward to this, man. And I think having a structure, but structurally being unstructured is cool. It's the same, you were asking me before we hopped on, like, hey, like what's it going to be about? Like, what's the difference between the first pod and the 60 minutes with pod? Like, what's, is there going to be any like structure or anything? And I was like, no, it's free form, man. Like I want to just have the conversation. And I think what I've found in doing pilot podcasts, what I've found in being a part of other people's podcasts, there are certain times structure is needed, right? There are certain approaches where structure is needed, but I feel like when it comes to conversations, when it comes to being real, I think the real comes from, honestly, more or less just doing what you feel is real in the moment for that conversation. And I think it's great that right now you have this structured story, this format, this thing that myself and other readers can tune into repeatedly, not only to learn more about your journey, but again to find those relatable moments within your journey that we can relate to ours. And then from there, just taking us on the journey of conversation. I think that kind of sums it up in my head anyways. Kind of what I'm getting is BuzzKill Blogs is going to be the journey of conversation where like you learn just through the conversational topics you bring up and the stories that you tell. And so I don't know, man, I just, I'm really excited about it. And here, actually, I wanted to open it up, man, just to give you one last, if there's anything, any sort of statement, any comment, anything you speak on, a passion, anything you want to speak on right now, like, I just want to open it up to you, speak on it for as long as you want. But if there's anything you want to speak on, man, just let it go, man. Like, let the listeners have it.
I think I just want to encourage to be themselves unashamedly and to pursue their dreams with passion. I think our culture, especially in America, to sell ourselves, but it also tells us to sell ourselves short. I think that as individuals, we leave a lot on the table every day, not just fully embracing who we are, out there for the world. And so I just encourage everybody to just fucking do their fucking thing, man, and do it. Be persistent. Be willing to make the hard choice for you to care about you and to love yourself and to fucking put the things that you care about out there in the world. We're all gonna be dead one day, man, and we can't take any of this shit with us, man. It doesn't matter what your religious belief is, biblically speaking, whatever. We leave it all behind. So why not lay it all out on the table, and why not just pursue yourself and your dreams as passionately as you possibly can be? That's what I'm doing right now, and I'm finding a lot of fucking inner peace by doing so. And I hope that what I'm doing encourages other people to do just that, to just pursue themselves, love themselves, and follow their own dreams until it drives them into the ground, because that's all we have. Your choice is to follow yourself or other people. And God, man, doesn't it just sound better to follow your own shit? Like even if it doesn't pay some kind of dividend, just giving you the freedom to be you is the most important thing that I can encourage anyone to do. And I hope that even just one person can hear those words and feel confident jumping off the deep end and doing their own fucking thing, because that's what I'm doing, and I've never really felt better about myself. So, and then that might be the last thing that I have to say to anyone.
Man, I love that, man. Power from a powerful man. If this is what we have, a conversation. This is that's gonna bring us good read through, man. So just anyone who's tuning in to the Twitch, anyone who's tuning in on DS or YouTube, again, man, like please check out BuzzKill Blogs. Make sure if you think Sam, a human being, and you have some left. But yeah, man, I'm really appreciative of you, man. Like it's been really, really dope having be a part of not only the 60 seconds, 60 minutes with Rice earlier this week, but also this 60 minutes with. Do you want it to be 60 minutes with your name or with Buzzkill, man? You tell me.
60 minutes with Sam. It just got a ring to it, doesn't it?
I like it, man.
So, Sam Buzzkill, local name.
Sam Thompson _ Buzzkill.
Follow me on whatever social media you can find that fucking name. I'm worth a follow, and I'll talk back if you entertain it. DM me. I'll say hey.
All right, man. I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream, but I will not end our Skype call quite yet. But again, thank you guys. Thank you guys so fucking much for tuning in. And just like every single week, we're going to end this podcast like we do every other one. Sing it with me if you're with it. Wait. What are we doing? See the hold up.
That's the bottom line, because I said so. Now.
All right. What it fucking do? It's boy, why fucking Rice? All right. Peace out, y'all.